So now let's study capacity of parties. So as per section 10, we already discussed that there are certain essentials that need to be fulfilled so that an agreement transforms into a contract. So one of those essentials is capacity of parties. So basically, while entering into an agreement, both the parties must be competent to enter into a contract. That means they must be capable to enter into a contract. They must understand the terms and condition of the contract, the consequences that will arise in case of breach of contract. They must be competent, and if either of the parties are incompetent or do not have capacity, in that case the contract is not valid. And section 11 of Indian Contract Act basically list out certain persons who are incompetent to enter into a contract. And who are these persons? These are number one, minors; second, persons of unsound mind; third, person disqualified by law to which they are subject. So basically, when you enter into a contract or agreement with these three persons, then in that case, the contract is basically not valid. They are considered to be as incompetent persons. Now let's discuss one by one. Let's start with minor. So minors agreement are void ab initio. Void ab initio means it's void, or we can say it's null since its inception, or we can say since its beginning. And this was held in a very landmark case of Mohri Bibi versus Dharmodas course. So basically, when you enter into an agreement with a minor, that agreement is void ab initio, that is void since beginning. Let me give you an example to understand this. Say there are two persons, A and B. They both enter into a contract for the sale of a property, and for the sale of this property, and the time when they entered into a contract, B was minor. Now after 3 years, when A was executing the contract, then at that time he basically attained the age of majority. So now he went to basically claim this contract. But now we all know that the agreement with minor is void ab initio. That means it was void since beginning, since it was formed. So thereby, in this example, it was void since it was formed. That means it was formed 3 years ago. So by that we mean that the agreement was void since the beginning, since that time. And now we cannot enforce that, despite of the fact that now the person B has attained the age of majority. Now, this was the first type, that is minor. The second kind of persons are of unsound mind. Now, section 12 of a person basically states that who are the persons who are considered to be a sound mind. So, they are capable of understanding and forming a rational judgment about the contract's effect. These persons are considered to be as sound persons. Sound persons are those persons who basically understand the contract. They understand the terms, conditions, consequences, objectives, the duties and the liabilities that will arise by entering into the contract. But when a person is of unsound mind, then these all rational judgment are they are not able to basically have or form this kind of a rational judgment. Now, we will basically discuss two situations. Number one, when a person is generally of sound mind but occasionally of unsound, then that person can enter into a contract when he is of sound mind. Now, when a person is generally of unsound mind but occasionally of sound mind, so in that case, the person can enter when he becomes sound in nature. Let me give an example to understand these two. A patient is in a lunatic asylum. Lunatic asylum is a psychiatric hospital. So when a patient is in a lunatic asylum who is at intervals of sound mind may contract during those intervals. So basically this person enters into the sound capacity in intervals. Like in certain intervals, he regain his soundness. So in that sound capacity, at that interval, when he is of sound state, during that time, he can enter into a contract. Now, the third category of persons are the persons who are disqualified by law. So these are the persons who by law are disqualified and are considered to be, as we discussed already, incompetent to contract. Let's now start with the first one, alien enemy. Now these are the persons who are the citizen of the country to which the India is having fight or is having a war. Now any contract which is made during the war period by the citizens of that country, so that contracts are considered to be as void. Second, we have convicts. So convicts are those persons who are serving their sentence. So when a convict enters into a contract, so that contract is again void and is not valid. But they can regain their capacity to enter into a contract after the completion of their sentence, when they have completed their punishment, when they have basically served the sentence period. After that, they can enter into a contract. Next is insolvent. Insolvents are who are declared bankrupt, or basically any insolvency proceeding that are pending against those persons. So you cannot enter into a contract with such persons. Why? Because they do not have any power over their assets, and thereby they cannot enter into a contract, and hence is regarded as incompetent person. Then we have fourth category of persons that are diplomats and ambassadors, because they have foreign sovereign. They are foreign sovereign and they have basically immunity. They have a contractual immunity, and no person can sue them in Indian courts unless they submit themselves to the jurisdiction. And we consider this also under the categorization of persons disqualified by law. So these are the four types of persons who are disqualified under Indian Contract Act, and they are considered to be as incompetent, along with the person who is of unsound mind and minors. I hope you understood the first part of the section 10, that is, the parties to the agreement must be competent to enter into a contract. Only then they will be able to understand the entire contract, entire terms and conditions that are in the contract. They will be able to understand that why they're entering into a contract, what will be the duties upon them when they enter into such contract, and what will happen when they breach the contract. But there are three categories of person who are not considered to be as competent. Who are those three? Number one, minors, persons of unsound mind, and person disqualified by law. So now we will move on to our second category, that is the consent of the said parties must be free.